Well, it's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy hump day. And it's a little cold out today, if you haven't noticed, at least up here in La Crosse. So I'm continuing to go on with this day in the life or week in the life of a DJ thing. I'm wearing my DJ Brentley hoodie. And yes, I'm having a cigarette, my worst habit. Last night was a great gig over at Grounded. Had a lot of fun making music. I don't get to gig out quite that often, so actually playing some guitar last night was a whole lot of fun. Hey, Brent. Happy Wednesday. So today, it's Wednesday, like I said. And it's the day that I get a lot of my music downloads done for the DJ thing. And the other thing I get done today is my posters and some of the last of my promo work I've got to do before the weekend. I've got to get a couple of posters ready for some to send out to Tavern 129. Hey, Kimmy. Happy Wednesday. Tavern 129 in Winona. I have to send some there for next week and get some ready to drop off for my next gig. Every time I'm at a gig, if I have another gig coming up, rather than spend the 42 cents or whatever it is on postage, yes, because I am cheap. I'm not going to lie. I am one cheap SOB. I will hand deliver almost all of my posters for gigs. So that's part of today. I think I've already got the Tavern 129 posters put together and ready to go. And then I've got to get some for Silverado. Yes, Silverado. Me personally, loves the Silverado. It's a great place. If you haven't been there in West Salem, it's a whole lot of fun. And it's the only venue I do not spin dance hits at, like club hits, I should say. It's my little neighborhoodsy, happy-go-lucky country kind of thing I do once a month or so. But, yep. So I got to do their posters, and I got to do the cover poster the cover picture for my DJ page and my personal pages. I kind of mimic certain parts of that. And I was talking about promo yesterday, and yeah, any chance I do get, I do promote. Today was Walking Wednesday for Mirabelle. It's when we all meet up at Powell Park at the corner of West and Jackson here in La Crosse, and we go and walk to her school from there. And so today I even decided to sport the DJ Brentley hoodie just to promote the brand a little bit more because it was the UWL women's lacrosse team today going on the Walking Wednesday. And yes, yours truly does DJ college parties. So today we're going to get back to working on the DJ thing after I have my cancer stick because I love to smoke. Sorry, it's my one bad habit. I've given up the bottle. I haven't really had a drink since July. I had one beer over the weekend, and I had 2 beers on July 3rd. That's it. The drinking thing just isn't my thing anymore. I've kind of given it up for now. Thank you to Halloween last year and Carly's in La Crosse. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that night. What I don't remember of it was probably really cool. So right now, I've got my dogs fed, and since Daisy, my youngest, likes the litter box surprise, when we go back in the house, she will be in her cage. Yep. She decided that litter box was better than breakfast today, so she gets the cage. Enough of that nonsense. So we're going to go in the house now. And for once, I'm going to show everybody the DJ Brentley office. The real office, that is. It's new here because I moved to a new house now literally 1 month ago. And from yesterday, I've worked on my speakers. I fixed the broken handle, so now we can lift said broken handle. When it comes to speakers, don't drop them. However, sadly, dumbass here has blown the tweeter on one of my speakers. I'm calling Tri-State Audio today. They weren't in yesterday to see if I can actually just go up to Onalaska and pick up the tweeter myself rather than have to order it, because that would be a whole lot easier. Anyway, so after we do that, we're going to go down here to the DJ Brentley office. This is the new office. I'm actually digging this one a little bit more than the other one. It's a little bit more closed in, a little bit easier to work in. It might be a little bit more dingy and dank, not going to lie. The paint is coming off the walls, but I've definitely practiced in far worse spaces. So today in the life of the DJ, this is my calendar poster, and that goes, what do you call it? The cover picture for my DJ page and my personal pages. I've thought about it. I honestly didn't like this color of orange that much, but I want to use orange or something similar because it's Halloween. So right now I'm going to do this and probably shift it a little bit darker. There we go. I like that. It's a little bit more of a brown orange, and then I'm going to take the other half of it and just match it. And that's a simple run through on this calendar poster. And then what I'm going to do from here, save that. And all my backup stuff is stored, or my web stuff is stored on my hard drive right there. And it's redundant backup right there, as well as my music hard drives and all that. But this is a DJ Brettly office. It's got still has, one of my personal favorite things that I own is my collection of stupid shit. From my bong, yes, that is signed by Afroman. The one, the only Afroman. That was a whole lot of fun, that show. Yes, I've smoked up with Afroman. I'm not going to deny it, not going to hide it. I inhaled. I'm not Bill Clinton. But then I've got a bunch of other cool stuff, like when the Packers went to the Super Bowl in '97. I've got my Dennis Rodman doll. Let's see, my Brandon from 90210. Oh, my Justin Timberlake doll from when he was in Sync. Isn't that cool? And, of course, the Lance Bass doll there. There's my Ozzy doll, my Ozzy Pop Rocks. Now, this I've had for like 15 years. It's a bottle of Rogue Jazz Guy Ale. Not a bad ale, but the bottle was too cool because I'm an upright bass player. There's my upright bass. Yes, no joke. I did play music before I was a DJ, starting when I was like 12 or 13, and just kept progressing. But that's my baby. I love this bass to death. It's the only upright bass I own anymore. I used to have a couple, but when I moved to La Crosse, I sold them. I kept her. Now, we're looking at the rest of my cool-ass skull collection. There's Lucifer's, Satan's, accomplice there. And we've got the Chong, from Up in Smoke doll, and the rest of my skull collection down here. Yes, I am totally into the skull thing. Halloween is my favorite time of year because the day after Halloween, I can go shopping and get more skulls for next to nothing. Now, if no one ever has heard of him, Blowfly, the original dirty rapper. Now, if you've never heard of Blowfly, he is still one of my favorite perverts of all time. Not gonna lie, he is awesome. Or totally and completely politically incorrect and wrong. I will let y'all be the judge of that. So anyway, today, we're going to work on this here. Now, the next thing I'll be working on is my music for the DJ thing. And downloading music. And recently, another fellow DJ and I have been talking a lot. And yeah, when you think about, all these DJs, day in, day out, oh, you got to mix, you got to scratch, you got to do this, you got to do that. Don't you sync, don't do this, don't do that. The biggest and bottom line of being a DJ, it's partially how you mix, but it's your end result. Honest to God's truth. As a DJ, as long as your crowd is doing what you want them to do, be it a wedding, be it a club, be it an event, then you're doing your job as a DJ. But I'm going to go back and touch on something that everybody and their grandmother in the DJ world always talks about your mixing. There's something that needs to even be said before that, and it's more rudimentary than being able to mix. And my biggest thing about being a DJ, I'm not going to lie, in the DJ thing, your music is the number one thing that you're ever going to deal with. Your music is the top, most urgent priority in everything. And it's not just downloading music. It is actually knowing your music inside and out. How the song starts, the vocal pickup, where the vocal drops. Every last bit of the songs you are playing, you, as a DJ, should know inside and out. Before you learn how to mix, before you learn how to scratch, beat matching, the whole 9 yards, you need to understand music. And it's not just, oh, this song fits with this one, or this would sound great after that. There's key matching in addition to beat matching. There is how you present song by song. And you will notice a lot in my sets, I don't use big drops. I'm not into the EDM thing. I grew up in Chicago before techno. Techno was coming around in the 90s when I was back playing punk rock and beating people up playing hockey or something. I don't know. But I grew up when the house thing was Chicago house was a big thing. Ralphie Rosario, still spin his tracks in clubs. And he's been going since I was a kid. John Curley at Medusa, Psycho Bitch Terry Bristol at Berlin. None of them were very big EDM DJs. Back then, it was a very your sets were smooth. Your transitions weren't these big drops. You wanted people to dance and have a good time, and it was house was very reminiscent of the disco era, and it's the next logical progression of disco. While people were burning disco records in Comiskey Park in 1981, there was another scene of people dancing still. House is very similar to disco, but it's not as glorified pop music. It's not like that, so to speak, back then anyway. So when I look at my sets and how I mix and what I do as a DJ, I tend to want to make a very smooth, very clean sounding, very refined sounding set. For example, if you want to compare it to punk rock music, taking a band like Minor Threat, and then how they were very raw, unrefined, not as cleaned up, and then comparing them to a band like maybe Naked Raygun, who had a little bit more production behind what they were doing, or even better, compare an old punk band like Minor Threat to a power pop band that's gone to the studio. Their sound is very glorified, very cleaned up, very presentable, very pop, so to speak. With all my sets, I definitely shoot for very top 40 dance remix oriented sets the best I can. Obviously, you can't do that in every venue, but the one thing I'm always looking for is a very smooth kind of set. Very smooth kind of sound. You will hear big vocal drops in my sets, but you're not going to hear the big drop of boom, here comes an explosion from another song, like you're listening to dubstep or EDM. So, when I start downloading my music today, I kind of already have an idea of what remixes I'm looking for from the pools I use. For example, the record pools are my favorites are BPM Supreme and Club Killers being my top 2 pools to go to. And then, as a DJ, I will sign up for all the other record pools' email lists. Because when you do so, you haven't bought their music yet. They will send you a deal every few months. Club Killers, for example, will do 2 or 3 times a year, $10 for 1 month. I will hop on that every time. Mix Invaders, they do a special every so often, $9.99 for a month. I will hop on that. They poach, I should say is a great word, music from other sites, only the hits. DJ City is another pool I like to go to, but they charge $100 or $90 for 3 months. And generally, I don't need that much from DJ City to necessitate me going to them for $30 every month and have to spend $90 up front. I will do them once, maybe twice a year at most. BPM Supreme is my go-to. It is a very solid pool. It may not have every last track you're looking for, and they might be a little slow in getting some of the more current hits onto their site. But when it comes to having a wide selection of everything I could need without having to be too crazy about it, they're a great record pool. So that when I go to download my music later today, the next thing I'm going to do is go back upstairs and sort it all. And when I'm sorting my music, that's the next thing you want to do, is how you classify, sort, and put your music together in your computer. I keep about 40 different folders of music, anywhere from, I'll show, you know what, let's go up and I'll show you what my computer looks like. But with music, it's so important how you file it, keep track of it, sort it, and get it ready to present. So for example, when I do weddings, I folder, or what's called in the DJ world, crating on your computer. I will create the ceremony music. I will create their dances, which could be, first dance, grand march, any of the big things that need specific songs for, I will create. And then the last thing I will do is create what the folks are looking for from their reception music, their must plays, their song requests, and all of that. That's the next thing I'm going to do when I get ready. Now, when it comes to the DJ apps, I'm a record box DJ. I've checked out Serato. I've checked out Virtual DJ. And Virtual DJ, honestly, it might be what a lot of people originally based their DJ app off of, but in my personal opinion, it's just not as powerful of an app or as good of an app as Rekordbox or Serato. I have checked out Serato. The only app I really haven't had a lot of work with is Traktor. And I just haven't seen anybody using it to let me check it out. Now, Rekordbox and Serato are very similar. However, I guess because of when I left Legends in Lacrosse last year, or 2 years ago now. Yeah, it's been 2 years and a month since I left Legends in Lacrosse. But the one thing I realized I came to get comfortable with was Rekordbox. And they had Virtual DJ there. They had another mainly automated program called Megaseg. And yeah, you couldn't mix with Megaseg. It was just a push button, great for radio perhaps, great for the wedding DJ who doesn't mix and just uses a playlist and advances the tracks. Megaseg is a great app for that. But when it comes to mixing and capabilities of an app, Rekordbox honestly exceeds them all. It has so much capability, so much functionality. So with that in mind, I'm going to give you a little look at how I sort my music. Now, I'm stressing that music is the most important thing for a DJ. It is not how you mix. Mixing comes in maybe second or third. But music and presentation of said music. Now, as I'm going through my music, for example, you'll see a file here that says KDG. Now, KDG, her wedding is in 2 weeks, and I made a full-on mashup for her and her father for their first dance. And the final version, I want to say, is version 0111-K. It took me probably about 10 hours to put it all together, going back and forth with her to make sure I had it right. Now, there's another mashup I did, which was real simple. A total of 3 songs for 2 minutes. And then here's another mashup I have, and that's for another wedding and their grand march. But aside from that, how I file my music. Up here on my computer, you will see these crates. Now, if you look at it, the year files being the definitive point of how I separate everything. So below the years, you have oldies, stepper. If you don't know what steppin' is, check it out. Steppin' is something, it's pretty hip. That's all I'm going to say. Stepper tunes, stepper sets. I love doing that stuff. It's all soulful R&B that you can dance to without having to be some kid or teenager, whatever. Then I have my Latin folder, which being from Chicago, I had a decent idea of some of the tracks to grab. I've been working and talking to other DJs on how to get better Latin tracks. But if you look from where this music is around the years this way, that's more geared to me just doing weddings. From ceremony, I can do a traditional ceremony with straight classical music, or I can do a modern ceremony with like Daniel Jang, the piano guys, Christina Perri, and things like that. I also have a folder for Latin wedding hits. These are the ones that I've picked up over the years that are the ones I need to play if I have a predominantly Latin wedding. Now, the fun category, this is more upbeat kind of college party stuff that can be played at a wedding. And then this is wedding hits. The top 200, like my favorite 250 wedding hits that are my go-tos. Now, they're all individually filed, and you'll see these little marks on them. Those are called cue points, where I want to start the song, and I mark mine with a total of 16 measures 24 measures before where I want to start my song. The reason I do that, the A point, if I want to loop something, which we'll get into later, underneath a track I'm bringing in, it gives me a clean spot to loop from. Now, this file being Now Wedding, and this is where I put any song requests. The last wedding I had 2 song requests. And actually, Me Too somehow made it back into my play rotation shortly thereafter with a couple other Meghan Trainor hits. Don't ask. Now, and here's a ceremony that I did. And then here's the dances. and the reception. This is about a week ago. And for example, Cupid Shuffle. That I use a specific version. It has an acapella intro and an acapella outro. And that one I use coming in off of the first dance a lot of times. It doesn't start with a beat, it's only vocals. So it gives a little segue. Now, this is my clean cue, or crate. And it's very similar. I have another crate like this. Daisy, no. Another crate like this, which is called my cue, which is all my main hits. They're identical for the most part. One's clean, one's dirty. That's about it. Then you have country, blah, 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 country line dances, remixes. Yes, because I'm a club DJ, I tend to want to favor some country remixes when I DJ at weddings. And if you get me at a wedding, I'm not the DJ that's going to be playing all of your normal standard, top 40 radio versions or whatnot. I get too bored and my heart isn't in doing something like that. So when I realized that, if, as a wedding and event DJ, I tend to use the same remixes and whatnot that I will use in a club. So I download both the clean and the dirty versions of every song I tend to pick up when available. Now, some remixes, they only have a clean remix. And yeah, I'll play the clean remix in a club just as soon as I'll play the dirty version of it. To me, as long as the remix is good, it doesn't matter if it's clean or dirty, I'm going to play it. And that's all there is to it. So, as we get further back into my computer here and look at my wedding queue and stuff, I use those same remixes from the clean, no matter what they are, to mix live at weddings or events that I have to play clean songs. Now, obviously, I do a lot of clubs and a lot of college bars. That being said, with all the clubs and college bars I do, I tend to prefer playing the dirty mixes, and I've even gone so far because, I'm that douchebag, asshat, POS, whatever you want to call me. Just kidding. But I even have what's called the pervert crate. For example, I've got Princess Vitara in this. I've got Put It In Your Mouth. I got Blowfly. I got Kia. I even got the Reverend Horton Heat's Wiggle Stick. Yeah, it's like that. And big shout out to my friends Chuck Uchida, Tim Hewer, and all those guys back home who hang around with I Love Rich and see them a lot and play. And big shout out to Rich, because everybody loves Rich. I cannot erase Baby Shark, Sammy, because yours truly does DJ weddings, and yours truly does have a kid. And I do DJ, some all ages events where Baby Shark is the biggest hit of the night. I, in fact, had a bridesmaid, 6 months ago or less, request Baby Shark. And I wasn't sure if I had to play it or should play it, so I did ask the bride and the groom, and they laughed and said, go for it. And they danced to Baby Shark. Yeah, adults do dance to Baby Shark, and I have about 15 different remixes of Baby Shark on top of it. I'm not joking. If you haven't checked it out, check out the metal version of Baby Shark. And speaking of cool metal tracks and whatnot, another cool mashup that I tend to play every so often, Master of Macarena. Sammy, you actually might like Master of Macarena. It's funny. Or Careless Whisper in the Abyss. Those are two awesome mashups I will occasionally go to. And then here, if you look at my computer, above the pervert file, I even have Cletus T. Judd's Double D Cups, Andre Williams, Let Me Put It In. May he rest in peace. Then we have the bathroom file. Yes, even I have to use the bathroom. So, then other files I put in here, my favorite DJs. If I'm in a set and I want to kind of stay with a certain vibe, there are certain DJs that each have a specific sound that I like or put into a folder. My DJ sound is very clean, like I said. It's very not EDM droppy. It's very house sounding, if you will, or the best I can make it. Yes, I'll throw some trap and twerk remixes in, but I generally shoot for that very clean house sound. For example, I was mentioning Ralphie Rosario earlier. There's my Ralphie Rosario file. Yep. Dark Intensity, Liam Keegan. These are all remixes that I've come to look for from these DJs when I download my music. Colin J, he's got some great remixes. And then we'll go up further. The Punjabi MC, yeah, he's pretty cool. Now, I also have my rap and my rap charts. I don't DJ much rap anymore. I listen to it, but what I'm trying to do now as a DJ is do more clubs and market a certain sound, both for events, weddings, etc. And rap, at least heavier rap, doesn't fit into what I do. Not saying I don't like it, not saying I won't play it. But in general, I try to produce a specific sound. So as we keep going into that, this is my rap file, and it's got it's got every current rap hit, blah, 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 blah. My closing crate. This is just a gag of mine. With about 5 minutes left in the night, I will start spinning obnoxious stuff. Full with the theme from Super Mario, and then throw in samples from The Purge over that. But as I look at all of this, the one thing I know this is my main crate. This is my go-to, okay, I need a song in this genre right now. This is where I go. But I know the biggest thing I will always stress again is knowing your music. Music is the most important thing you are projecting. Anybody can play songs. Just like a cover band can play Motley Crue's greatest hits, just like it was off the record, if they really want to. But knowing the songs inside and out and how to present them. Something that a musician, for example, writing a set list, just as it's the same thing as a DJ set. How you present the tunes you're playing that night. Now, I look for something it's always in the back of my mind when I'm presenting my set is George Marcus and Legends here in La Crosse. Yes, back in the 90s, Medusa's I didn't have to work with a BPM curve or really pay attention to the BPMs and all of that. Whereas at Legends here in La Crosse, they were some of the strictest people I've ever worked with on DJs. One, you have to follow a BPM curve. For those of you who don't know what that means, is you start at the lower BPM mark. So 60 BPM, for example. And then from there, you work up from 60 BPM to 150, 160 BPMs. And that just brings the pace of the music you're playing from slow to faster to faster to faster. Now, the reason I credit George and Legends was one night, you used to have to turn your playlists into George every night after you were done DJing. And it was a Tuesday or a Monday morning I came into work, and he tore me a new one about staying at 95 BPM for 5 or 6 songs. I wasn't following the rules that you have to progressively keep moving your BPM up. And the other part of that, so after getting it bashed into my brain like that for about an hour of nonstop, it's always in the back of my head that I need to keep the flow moving forward and getting faster. Now, when I and I'm terrible about this at weddings, I don't play slow songs. I try to, but I'm just not that DJ. And the other thing I'm terrible about is when I'm in clubs or weddings, once I get to about 120 beats per minute, I just kind of like lingering around there. I don't like leaving it. And so at a certain point, I'll lock and load my decks and sync up. I'm not lying. I use the sync button. I use it frequently. I will lock and load at about 125 beats per minute and just go from there. I have to but when I'm working now, more and more as I've gotten older, I keep remembering what George said. Work them up, crash them. Work them up, crash them. And that sets me apart for club DJs. I think there's only a couple other club DJs in the area that know in this direct area who work around here who are that strict about working BPM or think about it. One is Quaddy or Andy, who's from La Crosse, DJs out of Milwaukee now. He's the DJ for the Packers games. He's a really incredible DJ, and he used to work at Legends here also. So I know he's had that beat into his head, just like I have. And the other DJ in town who I know thinks about it is David Chen or DJ Formatic. And you can tell when you listen to their sets and how they present their music. I haven't heard too many other of the younger DJs paying attention to that, the BPM curve. And the BPM curve is good for several reasons. One, if you're DJing in a bar, you're dropping the BP, you're raising it and crashing your floor. If you keep people on that dance floor too long, they're not pursuing the objective of the bar. The objective of the bar is to sell money and make money by selling drinks. So if you keep people on the dance floor too long, guess what? They're not buying drinks. Every bar wants to sell booze. They want a packed dance floor, but their first foremost thing is selling booze. Because if they have a packed dance floor, people are going to show up and they're going to be around where the craziness is. It's a proven fact. The BPM curve with DJing does work because when you crash your floor, you are driving people away from the dance floor. You've been playing hits for an hour. Time to play something that sucks. Or doesn't necessarily suck. It might be a new track you're trying to break into your rotation, a new hit that's all over the radio. And I'm sure you other DJs who are watching, I'm sure you've done this. The track drops. First time you play it, it bombs. 2 weeks later, everybody and their grandmother is asking for it. So with that in mind, when you're trying to crash your floor, that might be a good time to do so. Now, some clubs do not want you to crash the floor. They want you to keep the beat going all night long, which is a great thing. I love clubs like that. But I don't want the club to think I'm not pushing drinking. And that's when your MC skills come in handy as well. But I'm not delving into the MC portion of this right now. We're only talking about music presentation of music and how to use your music. So, the BPM curve. When you crash your floor, people go drink. On the other hand now, at a wedding, when do I crash my floor? You don't necessarily have to. However, as a wedding DJ, I will check in with the venue when I get there. Is it an open bar or is it a cash bar? If it's an open bar, I am going to push that dance floor all night long. It's not going to stop. I will throw a couple slow songs in, which people who DJ weddings and go to weddings know. A slow song doesn't crash your floor. It fills your floor with couples. And coming out of that song, you need to play a banger or a smash dance hit. But going back to the BPM curve. At a wedding, the only time I will crash my floor outside of playing a slow song is if it's a hot day and I've seen everybody out there for 90 minutes and they're not leaving the floor. You need to hydrate. And thank you, Cassandra, pilot of the 3.0. I make sure I stock water in my DJ gear. And when I go to every gig, every time I go to a gig, I keep water with me all the time. Because when I do those barn weddings, there's been days I've drank a gallon of water right when I've left the venue and I'm still not feeling right. So after last year's trials and errors of wedding season, if I have an outdoor wedding or I'm going to be moving gear around like mad like that, I definitively keep at least a half case of water with me all the time. And a lot of the wedding venues, they provide bottles of water, soda to keep everybody hydrated. But that's the other time I will crash a dance floor, is when they've been out there for like 90 minutes, people are sweating. There was a bride who one night this said F it and sat down in the middle of the floor because I kept them out there too long. And I realized that, yeah, her face had turned red and she was sweating bullets. The remainder of that wedding, I kept it very in check, where I would every 30 minutes crash the floor, make sure people got off the floor and went back to get water and hydrate. Be it booze, yeah, it's a wedding. They're going to drink booze, but hydration is very important, obviously. But that's when I crash my dance floor. Those are the only two times I want to. Otherwise, if you're hiring me as a DJ, I'm locked and loaded. I'm going to push a beat as long as I can and as hard as I can at wherever I'm at. All right, so we've talked about that. Now last night, I downloaded a bunch of music. And today becomes the day I sort that music, and that's when I sort it back into my folders like I'm showing you here. So these folders, my main queue are my favorite hits. But now, or my favorite go-to songs. Even Mirabelle when I do all ages events, I've even given Mira a folder. And plus, she's got a playlist on my phone now, too, for the car. Now, this folder is called Hot Shit. Obviously speaking, these are the hottest tracks, or these are this year's hottest tracks in the nation that chart and everybody asks about. This is a conglomerate of all the charts from 2010 to present, which I'm not sure how I like this file anymore. No, Daisy. And now, maybe we'll let the beast out. And in case anybody's wondering, this is Daisy the Beast. She is not 9 months old now. Get away from my coffee dog. But that's Daisy. She needs to be out. She likes being up hunter. Here's your rawhide. So now we're back to my computer. I sort my files for simplicity's sake, and it's something else that Legends got into my brain. But by year, the current 4 years, or 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and then everything from 2015 to 2010 is here. All the 2000s are in one, the 90s, the 80s, and the 70s. I only keep the current 4 or 5 years in a folder of 26 separated, because at some point, like 2016, will drop into the 2010 folder. Because you have your current tracks and what's called recurrent tracks. You know, the current year and then the 2 years prior. With that in mind, and something else Legends taught me, or kind of worked into my brain, when you're playing music, don't play stuff from the same year too much. Play like 2 current ones, go a recurrent, go further back, come back to the current stuff. So you rotate the music you're playing. Additionally, you need to rotate your genres. Legends had a very strict rule. If I play 3 hip-hop songs in a row, or 3 EDM-ish songs in a row, or 3 top 40 pop songs in a row, I have to change my genre after that. You can play no more than 3 in a row. So, that's something I take into careful consideration, and when I DJ, there's times I will just kind of freewheel it and do what I want to do, but I'm more so at weddings, I'm conscientious. Okay, you've played 2 oldie songs in a row, like I'll play like Earth, Wind, and Fire, September, and then an older dance song like that. I will immediately go back to like a Timberlake, a Bruno Mars, etc. to bring us back to a contemporary top 40 pop song. And I keep that in mind. Now, something I did over the winter. I took a lot of gigs in last winter that normally that didn't fit me, but I needed to learn more. And so with that learning experience, I took a lot of bar gigs and learned a lot taking bar gigs that were not really close to lacrosse. I needed to learn the country charts, the rock charts, and get better versed in how I presented country, rock, and other things at weddings. So it was a twofold reason for me doing that. One, I'm not going to really go into it because I don't want to talk poorly about somebody, but I needed to kind of throw somebody off of a trail, so to speak. And I did that. But the other part of me taking a lot of gigs that normally I wouldn't have, I needed to learn music that people liked in other areas outside of the major cities and outside of just the standard 150 top wedding hits. So for December, I'll say actually like last fall, winter, up until about March, April, I did a lot of bar gigs, a lot of non-club gigs, and events. The reason behind that is it taught me a lot more about music than I know today. And again, music is you're a disc jockey, a DJ. You are spinning music. You are putting music forth for people to listen to. You need to know it inside and out. And so by taking these smaller town gigs, I got the chance to, one, learn different music that other markets liked, and then I took it a step further. And I started challenging myself with my music and music knowledge. So I would follow the BPM curve the genre switch, and I took it a step further that I had to go, for every BPM I went up, I had to change genre and advance forward a year in my song. So if I was at 80 beats per minute in 1980, the next song I was going to play had to be 81 or higher BPM and from 1981 or higher. It made me really work over the winter to learn music inside and out in every genre I could think of that I would need for both weddings, clubs, events, and the whole 9 yards. And now we have Daisy chasing the cat. Daisy, get down. Daisy is a 9-month-old monstrosity of a German Shepherd. That's Daisy. She loves me. I love her. But she's a little wild today. She likes chewing on the cat and the dog. So that's how I go through my music and what I've learned about music as a DJ in this market. Now, another advantage I have about music is I worked in a record shop from 1987 or 88 until 1997 back in Chicago. And it was a used record store. So we sold new products, but we also bought used records to flip to the public again. And I got lucky, very lucky, to work with 3 of the most knowledgeable people in music I've ever met in my life. And I'd like to think at this point in my life, my music knowledge is comparable to theirs, but will never exceed theirs. One is jazz aficionado Joe Bruce. He owns Groove and High Records in Chicago. Him and I worked at the Record Exchange on Morris together. And Joe's jazz knowledge was second to none. And thanks to Joe, when I DJ a wedding, my cocktail hour mix, or I should say my dinner hour mix, is all traditional jazz. When I'm DJing a wedding, for cocktail hour, I'll play vocal jazz. Harry Connick, Sarah Vaughan, Ella, Louis. And yeah, I'll toss in some Michael Bublé too because everybody likes him. But I tend to steer more towards the Cole Porter songbook and that era of vocal jazz if I'm DJing a very straightforward traditional style wedding. Now, during cocktail hour, people are chatting, it's a little bit louder, it's a little bit more robust. So no one's really trying to listen to vocals or, it just seems more appropriate. But when you come to dinner, because you now have to contend with clinking of glasses, there's no singing along, you're now sitting around each other and having a little bit more conversation, I steer clear of vocal anything and tend to shoot towards traditional jazz. Traditional jazz being John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Cannonball Adderley, Dave Brubeck. Occasionally you might even hear Ornette Coleman or some of the free jazz stuff make its way into my dinner set, provided it's not too crazy. But my dinner sets don't have vocals, so people can talk easier and not have to shout over the cocktail hour music with vocals. It's very laid back. Now, thanks to Joe Bruce, I have a great knowledge of jazz. Working with him 2 times a week in Rogers Park at the Record Exchange taught me a lot. The other person that taught me a lot about music, outside of jazz, mind you, and was definitely key getting me into a little bit more of the funk, disco, and house, was Wilbur Sutphin. He also got me a lot of my DJ gigs, actually, back in the day. But working with Wilbur, he was the resident DJ, Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays at Club 950 back in Chicago. And that was, in that era, it was the industrial era. House was still prevalent, but you definitely had a different edge at Club 950. And Wilbur, may he rest in peace, he taught me, he let me explore music while working in the store. So I got to check, he'd be like, oh, you like this? Why don't you check out these bands? Oh, you like this? Check this out. And so by the time I was in my early 20s, I was totally into funk, R&B, soul, and house, but also into punk rock and hardcore. Very crazy. And really, not as much into Americana and bluegrass and folk as I am now. Granted, I did like folk, and which brings me to the next person who was very prevalent in my music history, was Leroy Fields. He got me my first video jockey job or DJ job ever at Medusa's when we still used Panasonic video cassette players and had like 3 on each side. So if one died, you pinged one and put it in the other. And let me loose in Medusa's. The only all-ages dance club pretty much in the Chicago metropolitan area that was worth a crap back then. So I got blessed beyond all any concept to be able to work there as a teenager. It was status, it was ego, whatever you want to call it. I'm 17, 16, driving a Camaro, 78 Type LT4 on the floor. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. But I'm driving a Camaro, DJ, video jockey at the All Ages Bar, and working at the coolest record shop in the punk rock's Clark and Belmont area. So as a teenager, life was super cool. Yeah, high school wasn't really a thing for me anymore at that point. But those are the 3 people that were very prevalent in teaching me about music. So, and much to my father's chagrin, I was a musician. He wasn't so hip with it, but he was very much, if it makes you happy, go for it, kid. So I did. But music is always, and my knowledge has always been growing because of the roots I had at the Record Exchange and Medusa's, Club 950. And then what really got me knowing the top 40 90s hits, and it's why you'll hear a wide variety of 90s throwback hits in my sets. Because that was what was popular in the 90s when I was DJing on Division Street in Chicago. When I turned 20 or 20, I had a fake ID, so I think I was 20 or 21 when I started. Yeah, I was 20 when I started DJing on Division Street. And I was down there for a few years. So I learned up until about 96, 95, all the top 40 and all the main pop hits of that era that people were listening to. So that knowledge of mine is fairly unrivaled, at least in this market. Maybe back home it wouldn't be. But I know, at least in the La Crosse area, I don't think there's very many people that have the kind of music knowledge I have, which is why I think, as a DJ, it helps me put together some really good sets and understand what makes people move. I would like to think that I learned a little bit more over the weekend. Bagpipes and AC/DC go together. But being able to make an entire street corner in the city of La Crosse sing along to the same song, and it was, yes, I played Journey, Don't Stop Believin', because there are some old folks. But then when I played Hotel Room Service from Pitbull shortly thereafter, and you saw the entire corner still singing along, I knew I was onto something right. And that was just a feeling that's giving me goosebumps still. But music knowledge is everything. As a DJ, you can mix all you want. And yes, I will give virtual DJ users a hard time. I won't lie. It's kind of a joke. But it doesn't matter what application you're using. Doesn't matter if you use sync, if you use autoplay. Because every aspect of the modern DJ era, your deck, your computer is a tool. And you have to treat it as such. Just like a carpenter has his own set of tools, a DJ has his set of tools. And the end product, the final product of what these tools can produce is what people are looking for. And if you do that well, it doesn't matter if you use sync, autoplay, or any of that crap. The final product as a DJ is what you are shooting for. And that is people smiling, dancing, drinking, and having a good time. That is the number one job of a DJ. And it all starts with the very basics, music. So, and that note, I'm going to sign off for a while. I've got my music to download for this week. I've got 2 record pulls to hit and some posters to go finish up like I was showing you earlier. And it's Mira's early day. So at 11:45, me and the Spawn are going to be hanging out here at home because it's kind of rainy and dreary. And I'm going to get ready for this weekend's gigs. I got 2 weddings tonight, and then I'm at the Driftless Arcade tonight in La Crosse, spinning your favorite 80s dance hits. Yep, tonight is going to be probably DJ Brett Lee going 1980s freestyle all night long. And tomorrow night, I will be at R Bar in Rochester. Mid-season changes? Yes, you've got it. Karaoke moves from R Bar into Legends. I move from Legends into R Bar. And then Friday and Saturday, I have 2 weddings. Friday, I'll be at Celebrations on the River. Saturday, I'm at Pettibone. And then Sunday, I will be at the Cooley Dream Wedding Expo. And I put this up on my Facebook page. It'll be showing up sooner or later. But for any couples who sign with me this weekend for any of my 2020 dates that are left, and I don't have many, or for 2021, I'm offering a $700 for an entire day's DJ services in La Crosse only. But that's only if you sign up this weekend at the Cooley Dream Wedding Expo at Stony Creek. I'm the featured DJ, and I think I'm the only DJ there this year. So, if you sign with me, like I said, I'm cutting a deal, and that price is only good for La Crosse. However, I will offer comparable price deals for areas outside of La Crosse on that. But that's what I'm doing this week. Next week, I've got an even crazier gig schedule lined up, but we'll talk about that Monday. So, this is DJ Brett Lee, day 3, week in the life of a DJ. Hope everybody enjoyed, and maybe you learned something from me today, maybe you didn't, but I'm going to sign off for now, and I'll probably check back in a little later, right before we start up at the Driftless Arcade. Happy Wednesday, everybody.